So I was 19 and I was invincible. Not in that physically intimidating Superman kind of invincible, but in that somewhat obnoxious kind of invincible where adults look at you and go, just you wait. I was invincible because I was lucky, because everything had kind of always worked out for me, even when it probably shouldn't have. And I'd always kind of managed to snake my way into whatever it was that I really wanted to do. And I was working at a summer camp. It was one of those outdoorsy, ropes climbing and whatever. But what I really wanted to do was to be a trip leader, because they were the cool kids. But there were a few things that you needed to be a trip leader, and the big one was experience. And I didn't have any. Luckily, the summer camp that I was at had this 1-week program, Trip Taster. And it was for camp kids who weren't sure they wanted to be trip kids, led by camp counselors who weren't ready to be trip leaders. It was perfect. And I managed to get into it. We did all of that kind of classic stuff, the mountain biking, the rock climbing, the kayaking, and for the parents out there, I want you to know, I was partnered with someone who knew what they were doing. It wasn't just me. Someone to teach me kind of the logistics of the whatever. But what I wanted was the adventure, and the adventure was a 1-night overnight at Mount Monadnock, accompanied with a day climb. So we're climbing Mount Monadnock, and it's one of those perfect days where it's hot but not too hot, and the sky is crystal clear, and you can see all the way to Boston. And there's a lot of procedures you have to follow when you're leading, and for example, you have a trip leader in front who makes sure that none of the kids run off and get lost, and you have a trip leader in back who makes sure none of the kids get left behind and get lost, and we follow all of those mostly. But I was 19 and I was invincible, and these kids were 15 and they're also invincible, and we're on Mount Monadnock and everyone knows where they're going and it's great, and so I go ahead and let them run ahead of me. Why not? I can see them running down the trail over, we're just leaving the summit, so it's on the Mount Rocky top, and I'm watching them disappear over the rocks, and one kid disappears a little bit faster than maybe he should have over what I happen to know is a small cliff. And this is where my heart stops, because I hear a woman's voice that I will never forget, crystal clear, cutting through that sky, yelling out from the bottom of that cliff, "Oh my God, he's dead." And I run to the top of the cliff and I look down, and there's a 15-year-old boy lying face down on the rocks, not moving, his legs twisted at kind of a weird angle, and all I can do is stand there and think to myself, oh my God, he's dead. Luckily, the woman that I was with is a little bit more experienced with me, had better reflexes, and ran to the bottom of the cliff where she could actually check on the kid, instead of the top of the cliff where all she could do was stand and stare at him. And he's not dead, but he's disoriented and he's confused, and she's asking him the questions that you ask. Are you hurt? Where are you hurt? What year is it? Who's the president? And the only questions he can seem to answer is that he is hurt, and he's hurt in his back. And that's a spinal injury, and that's serious, and that means that you need help immediately, and help's pretty far away when you're on the top of Mount Monadnock. And she turns to me and she says, "We need to call 911, and we need to call 911 now. Where's the cell phone?" And I tell her that the cell phone is in the van at the bottom of the mountain. And she looks at me and she says, "Go get it." So I start to run, and I run faster than I've ever run in my life, probably much faster than I possibly could have run, even at that time, as fast as I can, past rocks, past trees, past people, before I realize that probably the people that I'm running past have cell phones, and I should stop. So I stop, and I'm trying to catch my breath, and I ask these people, "Please, can I borrow your cell phone?" And they say, "Why, is somebody dying?" And I'm like, "Yeah, probably." And I borrow their cell phone, and I am trying to go at a mile a minute to explaining everything, and they say, "Stop. I'm at the end of the phone. He's very calm. Where are you? What trail are you on? Can you stay on the phone? I explained to her that I can't. It's a borrowed phone. It's dying. And she goes, okay, fine. Wait at the bottom of the trail for us. So I run to the bottom of that trail. I get to the bottom of the trail and I'm waiting. And waiting. And that's the worst part. Because when you're waiting, all you can do is think, maybe being invincible isn't enough. Maybe it doesn't cover the people around you. And that maybe this time, and the ambulance shows up, and I am ready to go. I need to help. I need to do something to fix this mistake that maybe and she shows up, and it's clear that I'm not going to be any help because I'm 19 years old, and I am just flowing with adrenaline. That is literally all I have in me. So she hands me a granola bar, and she says, take this. Go and see if maybe he's hungry. So I take the granola bar and I run all the way back up to the top of Mount Monadnock as fast as I possibly can go, past people that I was running past on the way back down, all the way back up to the very top of the mountain, to the rocks, and I see the kid sitting there, surrounded by the other trip kids. And he's laughing. And he sees me and he goes, I am so sorry. I was a little bit confused. When I said that my back was hurting, I actually meant it was my knee. I'm okay. And all I could do was stand there and ask him, are you hungry?